Hello and welcome to today's online reading class. We are going to be starting a final project for the whole year. This will be kind of the last thing that we work on in our reading class together, and I'm excited to work on it with you. We are going to be making an Indiana project, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Today's goal for the project is I can skim read for key information when researching a topic, and the steps that will follow are to write down what we're looking for, scan the text, read ahead and behind, and record information. Let's take a look at step number 1 in our lesson steps today. We're going to start by making a copy of the project slides and sharing with our teacher. This looks a little bit on the boring side right now, I know, but it's going to get so much more colorful and interesting as you get a hold of it and get to enjoy making it your own project for others to see and to enjoy for yourself. Okay, so the instructions said, what are we doing? We are making a copy and sharing. So if you know how to do that, you can go ahead and do it. If you don't, you touch the 3-dot menu, go down to Share and Export, and then make a copy. Of course, whenever we make a copy, we are going to rename it. 3-dot menu, copy of name, Indiana project. We want to get rid of all that stuff. I have my keyboard out because I know I'm going to be typing today. Rename and share with my teacher. Plus button. My teacher's name is James Davison at staff.Goshen Schools. And your teacher's name might be Megan Reinheimer instead. Okay. Once you've done that sharing, you are ready to begin. Our next step. Okay, so we are going to skim read an article for information about state history. Every time we're asked to skim read today, we're going to go to the slide to figure out what we actually need to do. And we're going to write it down on a piece of paper or a whiteboard, or if we really need to, on a Google Doc just for ourselves. Writing things down before you skim read is an important step. It helps you to focus on the reading and not have to flip back and forth between screens or try to hold information in your brain. You want to have as little information being held in your brain as possible because your brain can only hold so much. So, what we'll be doing today is going through several slides and trying to fill in some blanks. My first slide says, Indiana was the blank state to join the United States. So I'm going to write down, what number state? I just wrote down in my notes, what number state? I didn't write it all fancy, it's just, now I don't have to keep that information in my head. And the second question I need to find the answer to is, Indiana became a state in, so I'm going to write down for myself, when state, or state date. Okay, it doesn't have to be a lot of information, just enough for me to be able to tell, this is what I need. I need to find the date. Okay, now watch me do the next step. Watch me skim read this article. Now I'm going to click on the article. And I've got what I need to find on my paper here, so I don't have to go back to my slides and look it up. It's all right down, and all I need to do is look. So I'm looking for what number state Indiana was when it entered the Union. So I'm going to skim read with my eyes until I find a word that's like first, second, third, fourth, an order word. The steps that Mr. Davison said to follow is to write down what we're looking for and then scan the text for what we're looking for. So I'm going to scan the text with my eyes until I find an order word. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. Notice I'm not reading word by word. I'm like gently passing my eyes over the text until I find what I'm looking for. 19th is an order word. Okay. So before I write that down, I'm going to follow my next step, which is read ahead and behind. Make sure that's actually what I'm looking for. It says 19th, but it could be something else was the 19th. I want to know what number state Indiana was when it joined. The Indiana government asked the U.S. government for Indiana to become a state in 1815. Ooh, that sounds promising. Indiana was accepted as the 19th state on December 11th, 1816. Okay, so it was the 19th state. So I'm going to write down on my paper 19th. And now I need to figure out when it became a state. So I'm going to keep scanning the text for when it became a state. It's probably going to have a year on it, so I'm going to look for years. Ooh, I see 1800. In 1800, Indiana became a territory. No, that's not a state. Okay. Oh, 1800 again. In 1800, the capital was Vincennes. No, that's about the capital. It's not when it became a state. Ooh, another date. In 1813, the capital city was moved. No, that's not about when Indiana became a state. Okay, I'm looking for dates. Ooh, 1825. The capital has stayed in the same place. No, that's about the capital. I don't care about that. Okay. 1815. Ooh, okay. The Indiana government asked the U.S. government for Indiana to become a state in 1815. Is that when it became a state? Let me keep reading to find out. Indiana was accepted as the 19th state on December 11th, 1816. Oh, it didn't become a state in 1815. It actually became one in 1816. Okay. So when I read ahead and behind, I can find out what exactly that date is about. It turns out the date that I need is December, writing down on paper, 11, 1816. Okay. So I followed my instructions. Write down what I'm looking for, scan the text, read in ahead and behind, and record information. Record information means I'm going to actually put it into my project. When you look at the project today, you will see what I recorded for you. Indiana was the 19th state to join the United States. Indiana became a state in 1816. Done. Okay, so that's what it looks like. We're going to do one together, and then I'm going to ask you to try one on your own before trying with me, and then lastly you will try one all by yourself. So we're going to try skimming the same article for more information about capitals. Please get a paper and pencil if you haven't already, and we are looking for 4 pieces of information this time, so be ready to write down in your notes these 4 pieces of information. Indiana's capital before it was a state was. Okay, so I'm going to write capital before state. Give myself some space to write that. The first state capital was, okay, then I'm going to write first state cap. Give myself some space to write that. Today, the capital of Indiana is blank. It became capital in. Okay, today, capital, and I'm going to write when became. Okay, that's 4 pieces of information. You should have those 4 pieces of information written in your notes somewhere. You wrote down a note to yourself so you don't have to hold all this in your brain and flip back and forth between screens. So my notes say capital before it was a state, first state capital, today capital, and when became. That means when did today's capital become the capital. That sounds like a lot of information, but we're just scanning. We're just going to look quickly through an article. We're not going to talk about every single thing in here. So what I'm looking for is the capital before it became a state. That means I'm going to look for a city name. A capital is a city. So all I have to do is scan for words that start with capital letters and see if it's a capital city. So scan with me with your eyes. Well, that whole first paragraph has a couple words with the capital letters, but it's all states. Indiana and Puerto Rico, U.S. So I'm going to keep scanning. Ooh, okay. The first sentence of paragraph 2 says Vincennes. That's a city name. It's capitalized. Vincennes, Indiana. Let's read the sentence and see if that's a capital of a state. In 1800, the capital city of Indiana was Vincennes, Indiana. Okay, and I know from my previous reading that this was the capital before it was a state, because we already found out that this is that it didn't become a state until 1860. So I'm going to write down, and you should too in your notes, Vincennes, Vincennes. That's right here. Okay, I got the first one. Now I'm looking for the first state capital. What was the capital when it was a state? Okay, so I'm going to keep reading and looking for city names. Blah, 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 blah. Ooh, okay, here's a city name. Corydon. It became this, let's read it before and after. In 1830, the capital city was moved to Corydon. People were worried about Native Americans. Okay, so that's the reason they moved the capital. Is this the capital when it became a state? Let's go check. Became a state in 1816. It doesn't say anything about there being another capital before 1816, so I'm going to assume that this was the first state capital. So I'm going to write down the name of that city, Corydon. Okay, I found two things. Now I need to find out what is today's capital. I'm going to keep scanning for city names. Ooh, Tecumseh. Is that a city name? It's capitalized. People were worried about Native Americans during the war with Tecumseh. That doesn't sound like a city name. That sounds like somebody who they were fighting. So I'm going to keep moving. Okay, keeping on looking for city names. Ooh, here's a city name. I think it starts with a capital letter, I. 9 years later, in 1825, the state capital was moved to Indianapolis. Okay, so they moved the capital to Indianapolis. I'm going to write Indianapolis where it says today capital. And then, when did it become the capital? 9 years later, in 1825. Okay, so 1825. All right, if you've been following along with me, now you have notes that say when the different dates were. And you can take those notes and use them to fill in your blanks on your slide. Okay, Indiana's capital before it was a state was Vincennes. The first state capital was Corydon. Today the capital is Indianapolis. It became the capital in 1825. Pause the video and get those things recorded in your slides, please. Okay, it's time to try on your own first, and then we'll go over together. I want you just to answer these questions. Before the Civil War, someone and his wife someone ran a station on the Underground Railroad in blank, Indiana. So you need to write down in your notes, what are you looking for? What information are you looking for? When you have that information, you can go to step 4, try on your own first, then we'll talk about it. So you're looking for who ran the Underground Railroad station in this article and where. So find people's names and check if they're the people who were running an Underground Railroad station, and then check and see place names if you can find where they ran it. Pause the video and try it. If you haven't already done so, discuss what you are doing. And then it's time to head off on your own. Number 3 is what you're doing today for your assignment. You are going to fill in the blanks on the last part of the slide here. During the Civil War, Indiana was part of the blank side of the war. This side eventually won or lost. You need to figure that out. And then you need to figure out when did they lose or win the war. Okay. You may have noticed on every slide we have choose a picture to illustrate your facts and caption describe your picture so readers know why you chose it. Do not do these today. Those will be part of your project that we will complete another day, but they are there for you to start when we do them on another day. Just doing this last sentence in the slide is your assessment today. I'll see you on the other side. Bye for now.